record.
Okay. I've said it before, I've talked to Mr. Duran about this.
I'm
And
sorry, could we have your name, please? For the
yes,
record?
it's Andrew Zimmer, 512 Fifth Street, Robinson Township.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer.
Okay. I personally am not against drilling. My concern is that there be strong ordinances to control what the gas companies can do in this township and what they cannot do. There's been several drills well under old ordinances that seem to work very well, protect the public, and allow the gas companies to do their business. Gentlemen, if you pass these ordinances as they are now, you can't go back. I'll say it again, you can't go back. If you allow the gas industry free rein to do as they see fit in this township, the damage will be irreversible. I just cannot, in good conscience, even consider all the problems this township is in for unless you will re-examine your ordinances that are written now and strengthen them in areas that affect the public safety and welfare and the control of the industry itself. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer. Okay, next on our list, and I think, oh, no. 238 RCR. Mr. Kramer.
Thank you. My name is Mark Kramer, 238 Robinson Church Road. I want to speak on behalf of the environment. I want to thank the previous administration for taking care of all the hazardous waste dumps in our township. In our 2004 zoning map, they were very clearly designated, and the new zoning map that was just passed at the end of their administration, it seems all those hazardous waste dumps just disappeared, and I want to thank them for clearing them up with their pencil eraser. And they even promoted people to build houses on property that had hazardous waste dump and put turnpikes to them. We all drink the same water, we all breathe the same air. And we have to make sure that any ordinance we pass, any zoning law we have, has conditions. And there's nothing wrong with a permitted use, as long as you have administrative determinants that take the place of the conditions. If you have good, solid, sound administrative determinants, you can have industry as a permitted use. The last thing I want to say is we're in Fort Cherry High School. This high school was funded by landowner tax money. For too many generations, this school has survived on the income that farmers could make by cutting grass. And the days of the coal mines are gone. I know, I worked 25 years in a coal mine. I was forced to go back to school. I now teach at a middle school, Mount Lebanon School District, which just last year was named as the #1 school district in Pennsylvania. And it was because they have income from other sources than cutting grass. If you shut out these industries, you are taking away that farmer's income, his right to his estate. And that's not what this country is about. We have a right to access our estate. You put too many restrictions on, you steal from the landowner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. And next on our list is Judy Kramer.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the supervisors on the publication of your first newsletter. Your accomplishments thus far have been impressive. I strongly urge you, though, the supervisors, to consider all activities and applications brought before this local government and suggest they be done so under the conditional use application. As I have said on several occasions, the conditional use format, as opposed to the permitted use application, affords the local government a great deal of power. It also affords the supervisors and the people of the township to have ownership of their community in which they live.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Mr. Michael Orlanti? Probably butchered that.
That's quite right.
My name is Michael Oliverio. Last name is spelled Oliverio. I'm from the law firm Lynch Weiss LLC in Cranberry Township. I'm here today as attorney and personal representative for Brian Coppola and Susan Coppola of 121 Campbell Road, Bulger, PA. Madam Solicitor, before we get started, before we get on the clock here, I'd like to ask for a ruling. In lieu of both of my clients coming up and speaking separately for 6 minutes, we'd appreciate it if we could get permission for me simply to speak for both of them for about 5.
Are they both here?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
I'm okay with that.
Thank
As
you.
long as they're both here.
They are.
Have the ability to speak for their respective times.
They certainly do. Madam Solicitor, the Coppolas have engaged Lynch Weiss and asked us to perform an analysis from a legal perspective as to the constitutionality and any potential legal challenges that could be raised to the proposed zoning ordinance amendment and zoning map change. As a result of that analysis, Lynch Weiss LLC, myself, and attorney Dwight Ferguson, who has many years of experience in the land use and zoning area, as well as a large municipal practice of zoning, prepared a memorandum of law addressed to the Board of Supervisors regarding the analysis we performed as to the constitutionality of the proposed zoning ordinance amendment in light of recent decisions of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. In order to respect your all's time, I have copies for each of you. We would ask at this time that that be entered into the record. I'll be happy to pass those up at this
That'd be
time.
great, thank you.
In a very brief summary, 2012, a number of municipalities in the state rose a legal challenge to what was then passed Act 13 of 2012 by the General Assembly. Lead plaintiff in that case was Robinson Township. Brian Coppola, my client, obviously also one of the individual plaintiffs in that action. The municipalities, Robinson Township included, argued that Act 13 unconstitutionally violated the rights of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and in a published decision later that year in December, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania agreed and ruled unequivocally that Act 13, specifically sections 3303 and 3304 of that law, were unconstitutional because they breached the rights of Pennsylvania citizens under Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, the provision which is known as the Environmental Rights Amendment. Now, public commentary and industry publications have described that ruling as one that reflected that Act 13 had simply overstepped the boundaries of what the state could do to limit the power of municipalities to address local issues by zoning. That is not in any way, shape, or form what the text of the Act 13 decision actually says. What the Act 13 decision says is that The Environmental Rights Amendment creates duties on behalf of government at all levels, state and local, as to the citizens, and creates prohibitions as to what they cannot do. Act 13, by permitting drilling in every zoning district in the state of Pennsylvania, violated the rights of those citizens to the environment and destroyed the reasonable expectations Pennsylvania citizens had into established zoning districts, namely that those zoning districts would not be corrupted by the introduction of incompatible industrial uses. That ruling clearly indicates, not by extension, not by analogy, but has already decided that any local ordinance, via zoning or otherwise, which does not take into account and properly balance the rights and interests of Pennsylvania citizens under the Environmental Rights Amendment, is not constitutional and is not a valid exercise of the legal and police power of the government. We do not believe that is an aggressive reading of the decision. We don't believe that that is a request to extend that decision. This is a decision that has already been made. If the zoning ordinance as currently proposed is passed, it will not pass constitutional muster. Everyone agrees that oil and gas exploration and production is necessary in the community and that some level of zoning is appropriate to allow that to happen while balancing the rights of everyone in the community. The problem here is that the current zoning ordinance amendment that is before you does not in any way reflect the analysis and balancing that was so clearly required by the Supreme Court of this Commonwealth just last year. As a result, as has already been brought up, passage of this ordinance will inevitably result in legal challenges against the township. And based upon the current precedent and the law as stated by the Supreme Court of this state, it's not going to pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alberry. I have no other names on the sign-up sheet, but if there's anyone who wishes to speak at this time, if you could raise your hand, and I will call on you. Okay, please.
My name's Carl Zeno. I live at 866 Cantor Road, Balger, PA 15019. I am against the changes that the board has up for tonight. Our roads are too narrow. It's going to cause too much noise. You want to change the noise decibels. The work hours are too long. We can't even get a line down the center of the road. And I think the reason they don't want a line down the center of the road is because that way they can't tell when the trucks go over the line, which they always do. They can't even meet and both stay on the road when two of them meet in Canton. I hope that the supervisors, the next meeting, will tell us what was in the contents of the letter from the planning board. I would like to know what their opinion is also. The gentleman said about accidents happening to workers, okay? He's right, accidents did happen to workers, but it was accidents to the workers, not to regular people, okay? Like maybe contaminated water. And the reason you don't hear about any of them speaking up is they have gag orders. They're not allowed to speak up. That's how they got the money that they get from the drilling companies. So they have to keep quiet. So that's why you don't hear of anybody complaining about that kind of thing. And you have the obligation to protect us. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. One other thing, okay? Yeah, I have a table for the decibel reading, and if you run like a bulldozer for 8 hours, okay, you will have hearing loss. So if you can have these big machines making all this noise and those things that make like a sound of a
jet engine, okay? You know, that's going to be way above 85 decibels, and that's going to affect your hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Anyone else who wishes to be heard, please?
George Lucchino, 399 Beagle Club Road. In the ordinances, you guys have not addressed the compressor stations. Should be in the ordinance that all compressor stations should be all electric, regardless of what size. On the section M, where it says the 55 dB at the nearest dwelling, I feel that there shouldn't be one sign that comes off of a compressor station. If you live 1,000 feet away, which you have here, you should not be able to hear that compressor station. Okay. Also, the board did not address the brownfields. They didn't address the Cook landfill, they didn't hook the gun club, or the Cinco site, or the other site that Mr. Kramer suggested there. Also, I believe, and I have the legal opinion on this, about addressing the deep well injections. I think it's a serious situation. They're looking for deep well injections. This township is owned by three landowners, and they do what they want to do. Okay. Also, you have there in the IB section, you've got too big of an area marked IB. As history, if you look back at history, you do not give these people carte blanche. They want to develop, let them come in and show us what they want to do. You keep these districts small, then they can come back later. We see what problems we have and go from there. A perfect example is you look at that tech world that we were supposed to get 10 years ago out there on 980, and it's still sitting there empty. Matter of fact, the for sale sign, the phone number is even incorrect. So there's a lot to think about, guys. You got a tough job. You have a lot of decisions to make here. But make sure the decisions you make is going to last us a lifetime. Thank you.
John Camel, 738 Camel Road, Walter, Pennsylvania. Chairman Kendall touched on it there in his opening remarks. The Agricultural Security Act gives farmers the right to farm without restrictions. And as was mentioned, hours of operation, noise levels, they cannot exist. The new proposed ordinance is in agreement with the Agricultural Security Act and the right to farm. The 2013 version of the ordinance adopted by the previous Board of Supervisors does not comply with state laws. Our new supervisors are doing an outstanding job working for our families and the future of our township. They are planning, they're doing things legally, they're attending many classes, learning the right way to do the business, reorganizing the township, keeping it within legal compliance with the regulations and requirements. Thank you.
Please.
Tom George, 714 Campbell Road, Alder, PA,
Spell your last name.
ULRICH. I think the board needs to look at agricultural services and agricultural terminology and the definition. I think if you look at the current ordinance, agriculture is spelled out, which a lot of the farmers fall under, which does not have the noise restrictions, but agricultural services do. And if you look at your current zoning map, how you have it zoned, you have some agricultural services where they are conditional use. So I think you need to take a look at that, and, you know, that's part of the issue as far as agricultural versus agricultural services, and that needs to be defined. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ulrich. Is there anybody else who would like to be heard tonight at the hearing? Here, and then you, sir, next. Thank you.
My name is Puck Foley, 200 Foley Road. Okay. You see no signs, drill a well, send a soldier home? Yeah. Two of my family went over there. Reason? Oil. Let's face it. People go for oil. One came home in a box. I say drill, baby, drill, and the rest of you can go to that house.
I love it.
Mr. Foley.
Very professional.
Tim Jones, 5388 Maple Grove Road, Baltimore, PA. I'd like to reiterate a little bit of what John Campbell said. The ordinances passed in December of 2013 contradict and conflict with existing rules and regulations, such as the Pennsylvania Agricultural Area Security Law, which is supposed to lessen the interference of townships and other property owners that they can inflict on a farming operation. Also, there's Clean and Green, which provides for tax reductions for farms and also still limits the division of farm into 2 and 10 acre parcels. This was especially of interest to me. The ordinances passed in December 2013. Section 401 prohibited my heirs or our subsequent heirs from being able to really subdivide the farm. Once the parent tract was defined, subsequent heirs would have been prohibited, I guess, from enjoying country living, because the farm would not have been able to have been further subdivided. So the new ordinances then will permit that, and I am grateful to you for that. Also, the Pennsylvania Right to Farm Act, which limits the township's ability to enact nuisance ordinances which try to control odor, noise, and working hours. This township is still 85% rural, and much of that is agricultural use. So the new ordinances, or the proposed ordinances, remove the contradictions in conflict with state law and provide easy to understand text that people have taken the time to read them. I'd like to thank Mr. Kendall and Mr. Durian for their quick and efficient response to provide ordinances that better serve the residents of the township, and also commend them on their timely actions on other matters inherited from the previous board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Marie Bigger, 2746 Bigger Road. I have no sections, no articles, just a comment. Received several phone calls asking us to please be here because the members on our road could not make it, begging us to please ask you to put us back the way we were. They were very happy. And in regards to all this water and the pollution and all that, I have 4 wells on my property, 4 drinking wells. 3 are contaminated way before any drilling took place. I mean, these are 25, 30-year-old wells. The other well, was never tested. It's probably no good either. But in those days, if you got water, you drank it. You didn't send it out anywhere. It's fine. And as far as agriculture, smells, sounds, and all that. If you bought property next to a barn, you're gonna have to expect some noise and some smells. So you have to consider that when you're buying. All I wanna know is please just put us back the way we were. We were very happy. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Speaker. Is there anybody else who would like to speak tonight? Please, sir.
Yes, my name is David Zern. I own property at 839 Robinson Highway. And I came to this township 8 years ago when I bought the business on Robinson Highway. And one of the things I want to say is I've grown in love with this township. It has a lot of good, hard-working people. It has a lot of people that have worked their land for years and years and put their life into it. And I'd like to commend the supervisors for taking the time to listen to those people, to try to look at what's right. This may not be 100% perfect ordinance, and to be honest with you, I don't know too much about it. I haven't read it myself. But I do look forward to the supervisors. Me as a business owner, we do need to invest in this township, to grow this township. And I just want to let you know that I'm on board with you, and anything I can do to help you, I will. And I think you need to listen to these people. I think the people that have worked their land, and if they want to drill a well on their land, they should be allowed to drill a well on their land. You know, I served in the military for 30 years. I was an officer in the Army for 30 years. And leadership is tough. And I commend you for taking the initiative to try to do better for your township. Thank you.
Can I spell your last name, sir?
It's Z-U-R-N.
Anybody else who wishes to be heard tonight? Okay, I think we're going to close up the public hearing then. I truly want to thank you all for participating tonight and for your thoughtful comments. I know that everyone has an opinion, and that's why we're here tonight for you to let the supervisors know what your comments are. The supervisors will consider your comments, and they will consider what they heard tonight. This is not a voting hearing tonight. We will reconvene to vote at the appropriate time. It will be properly advertised with a notice of intent to adopt. Whether there will be changes or not, I'm not sure, but at the appropriate time, there will be an advertisement with a notice of intent to adopt. If we know something further at the time of the public hearing next Monday, we will certainly update you. But at this time, we'll be closing the hearing. I would like to keep the record open just to correct, to type up. There's a handwritten list of addresses. I want to have it typed so it's neater. So we'll hold the record open to receive that. But otherwise, we are going to close the public hearing. And again, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for participating. And have a good night.
Well, you arrived almost just in time.
Thank you.